Hey everyone, it's Olivia at OMG Artistry, Joico Brand Storyteller. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. So I'm going to be showing you my Sunshine Blonde. I have about 3 different mannequins and I actually have a live mannequin with me to show you guys the results of the afterwards. I've been working with Joico now for 4 years and this is by far one of my favorite techniques. I'm going to show you guys how to maximize dimension inside of the hair while also being able to add that brightness right around the face. I'm going to go through the first step of showing you guys the technique process, and then I'm going to show you guys exactly how I achieved these results. And then Courtney, if you could walk over here. So right here, it goes through a slice and dice and then a butterfly technique. And then I have Courtney here. So this is actually what the after is going to look like. Go as close as you can to the screen. So this is actually what the after is going to look like in her hair. Thank you, my dear. So Courtney's actually going to be here on the sideline answering all of your questions. So make sure that you guys ask them. You are being entered into a giveaway today. So the more questions you ask, the more opportunities you guys have. So let's jump right into it. So when I'm going through a consultation with one of my clients, I always ask them, what are you looking to achieve? Do you want to achieve a dimensional look? Do you want to achieve a more brightened look around the face? And usually what I'm getting a lot of is people are saying that they want super bright, but they also want dimensional. And that's what I'm going to do in this technique today. I'm going to be doing a lot of slicing. So when slicing is, commonly now known as an opportunity to receive maximum brightness, I've actually noticed that a lot of people are very afraid to do slicing. So I'm actually going to show you guys a few of my tips and tricks on how to do that. So I'm going to just zoom right into the mannequin right here. And guys, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. So fantastic. What I like to do when it comes to slicing is I always like to figure out, where the part of the hair is, okay? So when I open up, I always call it, when I open up the part of the hair, I like to determine how much I want my hair to be sliced, okay? So if I want something just very simple, very minimalistic, right? I'm not gonna have a very thick section. I don't want a very thick section when it comes to my slicing, especially for the back of the head. I want to be able to see through it for a few reasons, okay? When you are doing your slicing techniques, you want to make sure that you are definitely getting directly to the root, but you're also not receiving any bleeding when it comes to slicing at all. Also, keep in mind the rounds of the heads. You want to be very careful because if the head is smaller, right? If the head is smaller, chances are the corners are more round. So you're more susceptible to bleedings on the sides. The larger the head, the more area of space across where the part is that you'll be able to achieve that maximum brightness without it going off. So I actually learned this technique from doing extensions. So they say to never bring your, they say to never bring your extensions up past where the rounds of the heads are, because that's where you could start to see the hair. I follow the same rule when it comes to slicing. So how I actually prep all of my clients is I'm spraying the Joico. This is the Defy Damage. So the Defy Damage is an amazing product that it is an add-on service to any of your services. And how I actually charge for a Defy Damage treatment is however much you would charge for your toning services. So if you notice, I'm shaking it. You definitely want to shake this product. It is a bond protecting, so it actually helps to provide 80% less breakage, more vibrancy in the hair, and it is a one-step process that is dry. There is no added formulas to your lighteners at all. So what I like to do is, even just for showing this technique in the front, I'll always make sure that I'm directing out of the face, always out of the face, and I'm doing it in little spurts, okay? And then from here, you're gonna want to brush it out. So you're actually just gonna even notice the shine just from me spraying it inside of the hair. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's something that you could actually see instantly, and so can your clients. So not only that, it also helps with your lift. It helps for even greater lift inside the hair while also providing that protection. So what I'm using actually right here is, this is my Joico Blonde Life. So this is 9+ levels of lift inside of the hair, very gentle. I'll be using actually 20 volume today. This is about maybe like a scoop, I would say. Courtney, can you mix this up for me really quick? So with anything with my lightening process, I do not like to go super, super high. I like to kind of stay in a mild in between 10 and 20. She is a mannequin, so I'm going to be using a 20 volume on her today. What I do normally is I'll actually start within like 10 volume, and as I get towards the hair, the lines, or even on the sides, that's when I'll actually up my volume. So I call this working in volumes. Another thing too, if the ends are more compromised, I would never just take like a 20 and put it all the way through. I like to work volumes within foils as well. So I'll actually do like a 20 and then maybe just like a 5 at the very end of her service just to brighten it up. Another thing I'll do is actually in between my foils is I will also be able to spray Defy Damage at any point. Even though I've sprayed the whole head, I can actually go back into the foils, revisit those areas, and do an additional spray. So even with my Blonde Life, another thing about peroxide volumes that a lot of people may not realize is do not whip your lightener. Okay, let me explain. You want to gently actually manipulate the product inside. You want to make sure that whatever you're using when it comes to your developer, that you're not overstepping, because when you start using 30 and 40 volume, that's actually more oxygen inside of the developer, which can lead to potential bleeding. So if you say, Olivia, I always get bleeding foils, why does that happen? Well, there's a few reasons why. You could actually be taking too big of sections. You could actually be taking your lightener and adding more oxygen, right? So as you're going like this, you're adding more oxygen inside of the lightener, which can create that expansion inside. So that's why you want to be very careful as you're kind of mixing it. So think of it as almost like an art. I know sometimes we're in a rush, and I know sometimes we just got to get it in, but make sure this is the point where you take that time, all right? So let me show you exactly how big of a section I take when it comes to my slicing. And also, guys, please, if you're just tuning in right now, this is my Sunshine Blonde technique, where we're also going to be doing slicing, but we're also going to have that dimension, and I'm going to show you how to color melt. It's going to be beautiful. You'll see the results at the end, I promise. We're also doing a giveaway, so the more questions that you guys ask, the more you'll be entered in the giveaway. So within that giveaway, you're actually going to get a YouthLock kit from Joico, and you'll also be receiving a color intensity kit. So don't forget to ask your questions. Before I get started, are there any questions by chance?
Yes. What would be your best tip for preventing bleeding at the top of your foils?
So what would be my best tip for preventing bleedings at the top of the foils is, number one, sectioning, which I'm going to go over right now. Also, you want to make sure that the viscosity of your lightener is not too wet. So I like kind of almost like a toothpaste like consistency is what I would call it. And it's also about how you apply it in the hair. So right here, I'm taking about, I want to say like a sliver of hair where you can actually see through it. And then I'm also using, if you notice how wide these foils are, they're actually Joico artistry foils, and I love them so much just because they take up so much space. So as I'm foiling, I want you to pay attention to my tension. Okay, my tension is right at the root. I'm holding that hair down. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually taking my pinky pointer technique. And what I do is I actually will push that foil right into the hair. And then from here, I want to anchor down my lightener. Okay, and then bring it all the way down to the ends. Okay. Guys a little closer in here, and then bring it all the way down onto the ends. And also saturation is key. So I like to almost get like a base coat, right? Like we're doing our nails. I like to do a base coat of lightener and then go back in with like a second coat. So I'm going, and as I'm doing this, I'm getting even a little bit closer to the root. Now, another thing too, within this technique, I repeat, I do not like to feather the blend. I would rather actually have a harder blend right there than a warm spot. Does that make sense, guys? I would rather have one cutoff of the blondest piece from the top to the bottom than perfect blonde all the way down and a warm piece at the root because you feathered, meaning that there's not enough saturation. So for this technique in general, keep that in mind, all right? Because you have that beautiful root, you don't have to overcompensate for what your toner is. Because if that's still a little orange, just a little bit, you're gonna let it sit longer, even though all of this is done. So again, to reiterate that, I would literally go right up to it, fully saturating. You do not wanna see the hair, okay? Because what ends up happening is people will say, your lift is only determined by your saturation. At the end of the day, when you are making sure that you have fully saturated ends, that's what's, this is all gonna lift like a 10 down here because it's not fully saturated. This will lift like a true 20, all right? So again, just going over those sections. And then what I like to do is make sure that when you're folding your foils, you are not going like this. You are not taking the lightener and pushing it to the corner. Listen, we were talking about bleeding, right? Because when you go like this, and I'm just gonna do it for the sake of this video, you're gonna go like this, and you're gonna push out that lightener to the side. And let me show you what it just did to the foil on the inside. You're gonna get lines. You're gonna get lines in your foils where your lightener is, because now all of a sudden you moved out that full saturation of that section. So if you notice sometimes your highlights will start going like this, it's probably because you folded it like 4 times. So what I would recommend, I'm just gonna go back in and saturate that area one more time. I call them hot pocket foils, okay? So I just leave this like a little fatter at the bottom. And then I do my sides. So you see how it's still a little puffy? I want there to be able to have expansion. So lightener expands in the foil, all right? So especially if, you know, this is laying, right? This piece is gonna go back. It's going to lay on her hot head, right? If your client's really hot too, sometimes you might actually receive more bleeding as well because of where that lightener is right next to their scalp. So if they're radiating a lot of heat, that what's gonna happen is there's gonna be more expansion right here. So keep in mind what your temperature is at the salon to make sure that she's not overheating. Make sure that the air is flowing, but also on the other side of that, make sure that the air in your salon is not freezing either. So I do a lot of lightener on the root clients. And what ends up happening is that I've noticed is if the salon is way too cold, they actually don't process well. It'll take almost an additional 15 to 20 minutes in order for them to process perfectly. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take like a pretty decent size of this hair and just put it back. So this is gonna be my skip section. Again, she wants to be very dimensional. She wants to have a lot of that depth, that dark, to be able to see. I actually have a very kind of like similar technique on my hair as well. So just to reiterate for you guys that are just tuning in right now, we're doing a blonding technique, but I want you to really just conceptualize that this is not just a technique. It's a lot of the tips that are going into what I'm saying, which is going to change the foil game for you. All right. So keep it pretty thin, I'd say. And then I'm going back in with my foil. Do we have any questions?
Yes. About how long would you say this technique typically takes you to complete?
So within this technique, it really depends on how much dimension she wants. So this technique, the question is, how long does this technique really take? Well, think about how much brightness do you want? If you want to be super bright, less dimension, then it's going to take longer, right? Because you got to do a lot more foils back. But if you want more dimension, that means less foils. So it's really based upon your consultation. Any other questions? You could just rapid fire questions. I don't have to ask you.
Totally. What about, so back to foil pleating. What about the warm line you get right at the scalp? What do you take for avoiding that?
Okay, so the question is, what about the warm line right at the root? That's because the reason why you're getting a warm line right at the root is because of three things. Their head is too hot, they are too hot, or it's because you put way too much high volume of your lightener, so lower your volume, or when you're mixing, you're going like this and you're adding too much oxygen and the product's expanding. So it could be one of those three things. Yes, any others?
Can you repeat what spray you were using in the beginning to protect the hair?
Yes, absolutely. So what I like to use in order to protect the hair is the Joico Defy Damage. So the Defy Damage is such an amazing product because it does a multitude of things. So here, let me show you. Defy Damage is actually the next generation of bond building. So this is a bond protector. So it strengthens the hair before, during, and after the services. With Defy Damage, you could actually use this as a standalone treatment. You could have your client come in, you can spray this on their hair if you're gonna give them a haircut or maybe just a toner. So this actually creates the hair 5 times stronger, and this is 80% less breakage inside of the hair. So it's like a huge deal for you to explain these things to your client, to let them know how incredible a treatment for their hair is that actually will not only help to repair their breakage, it's actually going to make it 5 times stronger. So let's do some math really quickly. Let's say you have, let's say 10 clients a day. Let's get crazy. Let's say you have 10 clients a day and you are charging $50, right? For every single client for a Defy Damage treatment. We don't want to work more hours. We just want to make more money during those hours, right? So if you do $50 for 10 clients, that's $500, right? $500 extra a day. Let's say that you work 4 times a week. So that's $2,000 extra per week. And then let's say that you do that 52 times 2,000, Courtney. 52 times, we got some math going. It's a lot of money. So you can actually have an upgrade. It's $104,000. Oh, $104,000? Is that
$104,000.
Yeah, $104,000 from just an upgraded service. Okay, so think about even if you charge $20, it makes all the difference in the world. Okay, so that's a little bit of business advice from Olivia. So now that you guys kind of have the technique going down pat, how I do the slicing, I'm actually going to jump right to the front of the face because the front is very different. So I do something, especially for the hairline, I do not like to do slices. I don't like it to look too hard. There's a little more density back here when it comes to slicing, so you can get away with it. But right around the front, especially when the hair is being lifted, so I actually have this butterfly technique in my hair right now. So how I do it, skipping forward, I actually have it on this mannequin right now, and I wanted to have it on her because I wanted to show you what it looked like in the flesh. So it looks like it's slices, but it's actually not, okay? So what I do is I actually will take the hair and I'm going through a weave pattern. So a general weave, taking her right here. And by the way, never overlap. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Okay, so regular foil weave, right? So then what you're gonna do after that, and this is what I call, this is the butterfly technique, okay? So this is actually like a technique within a technique. So then after this, what I like to do, I don't skip anything. These are all back-to-backs, but pay attention to this portion right here. Okay, this is actually what makes the butterfly technique look so flawless. So when I'm going through my foiling, what I like to do is number one, this is the secret sauce, okay? I don't go to the root. I actually go a little beneath the root. So I will start like right here and not go to the root. So what it actually does is it creates its own blend because there's a foil on top of it, right? So that foil that's right at the root goes right on top of this and it creates a diffused look with maximum brightness, okay? So that's why people are like, wow, like your money piece in the front, it looks so bright. How does it look so bright? But it looks so blended. Tell me what you did. Did you do a color melt? And that's the great part about this is you're actually avoiding the color melting process, which again, also saves us time. So Courtney, if you could actually come. What I did on Courtney. Okay, so do you see how Courtney's hair, this is the camera right here. There we go. So if you guys look at Courtney's hair, do you see how she has that maximum brightness right here in the front and it almost looks like a slice? So if you actually dissect it, and I'm going to show this melting technique next, if you look at it, it looks like it's a slice, but it's actually melted out so beautifully. Thank you, my dear. So that's the final look of actually how this is going to be. And you can even just see on my hair too, how my hair looks blended. Okay, so jumping right into my other girl, will you mix me up some 6 and 8? So how this is going to transfer, because this is like a baking show. I already pre-did this mannequin head. So this is what she's gonna look like straight off the bat. So she's got little slices in her hair, right? And then she's got some butterfly technique in the front, all right? So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I melt, and I use a layered toning method. This is gonna change the game for you guys. Layered toning is so awesome, and I'll tell you why. I was afraid to tone hair. I was afraid to melt hair. I was afraid to root smudge, tap, anything like that, and especially with cream, okay? So the Joico Lumishine, the cream is incredible. I love the way that it blends. I feel like the viscosity is really good for being able to melt properly without even having to worry about like transferring over into the hair, all right? So a lot of people ask me, Olivia, is the cream darker? Is the cream darker than the liquid? Well, no, not necessarily. It's actually on level. It's on level where the way it's supposed to be. It has more, it's more opaque inside. So of course it's gonna appear darker than a liquid would. The liquid is actually more translucent. So you get to see it. So that's what you have to kind of determine within your client is, do I want to see more transparency at the root or do I want more coverage? So the Lumishine Demi is actually really good for somebody that has gray hair as well to help blend it out. And I love the fact that it's demi because it does stick around, which is awesome. Yep, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is, okay, fantastic. So one thing I want you to notice that Courtney just did for me is she put 6N on here. So 6N meaning, that's obviously my formula, but I'm gonna be using 2 different formulations. I don't wanna think that hard. I don't wanna think which one is which. So I always write on here with a dry erase marker what my formula is. You'll also notice that I'm actually using darker bowls for color and lighter bowls for lightening. So even when it comes to the washing process in the salon, it's so much easier to not grab a light bowl that has dark hair color in it and then put bleach on top of it. So I like to completely separate my bleaches with my color and also my brushes. So you'll notice my brushes are actually lighter as well as my color brushes are darker. So that's just a little tip that I do for my clientele. So within layer toning, I always start, so my formulation will be Joico 8N with 5 volume. That is the liquid, that is the cream demi. Okay, I know that's a mouthful. So just to repeat, my first formulation is Joico Lumishine Cream in 8N with 5 volume. Okay, got through that one. All right, so what I like to do is I'm actually, I'll be starting on her hair from the back. This is not going to be a full-on color melting technique. I just want you to understand the concept of layer toning. So what I will do is I actually will start as if she had highlights all throughout her back. All right. So with that being said, I start with the 8N first, and then I'm going to go back in with the 6N. So anytime, please, 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 guys, anytime that you are doing a low light, anytime that you're doing a color melt, make sure it's the same exact color as her hair, her natural level. So let me give you guys an example really quickly. You do you see how light her hair is? She's like a level 8. This is a level 6 on her. It does not look good. It doesn't look good how you would be able to melt somebody when it's not the same tone. So you should never low light darker than their hair color, okay? This is just not cute. And it doesn't make for good blends. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be starting in the back direction of her hair, and I'm gonna go right into, hey, ma'am? Okay, I'm gonna lift her up just a smidgy. And even on camera if you need to tell me that. So with my color melting technique, I wanna make sure that I'm receiving the maximum amount of coverage. So again, saturation is absolutely key for this. Fantastico. All right. So grabbing her hair from the back, I'm going to be working in diagonal sections backwards. Okay, do we have any questions as I'm doing this?
Yes, so this is back to the money piece.
Yep.
Could you repeat this? When you do the weave, do you feather it up or do you want to see that harsh line?
Do not. Okay, so the question is, do you want to feather it or do you want to see the harsh line? Yes, you want to see the harsh line because when you feathering means that there's not as much lightener saturation. You don't want to do that because then it's going to look warm there. I would rather melt out a level 10 than try to melt out a level 8 at the root. So that's actually why I do not feather. In general, I've actually totally stopped feathering at the root because I was seeing so much warmth inside of the hair. So as I'm melting, you guys are gonna just notice that I'm just taking all of the hair and I'm going to be taking less and less as I get closer to the front.
And why are you using the lighter color first and then the darker color?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked. So why am I using the lighter color first and then the darker color? So think about it like this, right? When, can you go grab one of my mannequin heads that I did this technique on so I could show really well? So when you are just being introduced to a lightening process, you don't want, when you're being introduced to a melting process and you're just getting used to it, or when you want to see that seamless blend in the hair, it's nice to work with 2 colors because it allows a seamless blend from top to bottom, as opposed to a 6N into a 10. It's easier to just go down. Yes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So this is actually a really good example of this layered toning technique. And also keep in mind, this is the liquid side. So remember how I was saying, it's not that liquid is, it's not that cream is darker. It's just liquid is a little more transparent. But do you see right at the root how it looks darker and then it melts into that 8 and then it melts into that 10, right? So it just makes a much more reflective, seamless blend. So what this is actually going to look like on this side, this is the cream. All right, do you see how much deeper that root is, how beautiful that root is? But you're seeing that level 8 right here, because that level 8 is helping to blend all the way down to that 10. So when you look at this from a distance, it's not going dark to light. It's going darker to a little bit lighter to a little bit lighter. So it helps to create a beautiful seamless blend. Awesome question. All right, so as I'm toning, you're just gonna continuously see me working my way towards the back of her head, making sure that I get that full saturation. Do we have any more questions?
Yes. What's going to be your all-over toner formula?
Woo! Love it, love it, love it. What is going to be my all-over toner formulation? So I have been obsessed with almost, I call it like a metallic blonde color. It is so gorgeous. So when I think of like a metallic, I almost think of like warm and cool at the same time, kind of like that mixed tones. So like our NWB is so beautiful. So it has, our ends are all perfectly balanced, which I'm obsessed with the fact that it's perfectly balanced because I can kind of customize from there. So the NWB is natural warm beige. So that beige, like when you think of like a beige color, that's where like that goldy comes in, but a little bit of those cool tones. So it is so gorgeous. That's what I'm actually going to do as an all over toner for her. For you guys that are just tuning in right now, you will see my model Courtney, who's hanging out right next to me. She actually has this technique with that toner on there, so you'll be able to see it. So if you guys notice, I left out this money piece right in the front. What I like to do with the money piece is I like to let it sit. I like to let this sit just a little bit and not go to it just yet. So I've already started with my 8N. And now I'm going to go back in with my 6N. And now I'm just smudging. I'm just smudging that area. So I'm going right back. Any questions?
Yes. Could you repeat the steps for the Defy Damage Pro Series 1 and 2 if you were to do that in like a standalone treatment form?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm going to go right through this part really quickly, and then I'm going to get to that question. That's a great one. So what I'm doing right now is, if you notice, I'm pulling the hair all the way back. Her face is right here. So now I'm just fully saturating and tapping that area. So now I'm doing like almost like a 6, 7, 8, right? A 6, 7, 8 into a 10. And that's what's going to make this blend so gorgeous. And then what I'll do is and I like to also leave out a little bit around the ear too. So this is just a special additional technique that helps to create a flawless finish. So now as I get back into it, now this is when I'll do my 8N right around the front and just tapping just a little bit. And honestly, I'm not even going to put the 6 on here because I really want this to stand out because it's not really being melted. It's not going all the way down in her hair. Okay.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please?
Amazing.
All testing of the fire alarm system is complete. I repeat.
My fire alarm was going off all day today, and now it's not. It just told me it's complete.
Or audio message.
That's really cool.
Oh my gosh.
A test. I repeat. Any further visual
This is
or audio
amazing.
message
Come here.
It's okay. This is very natural.
Thank you.
We
That's
love
all
to
right.
see it.
You know what? At least this live wasn't at 10 o'clock this morning. My dog was going crazy. So anyways, how the final technique will actually look is the way Courtney looks right now. So if you guys notice, go put your head down just like this. So if you guys notice inside of her head, for those of you that are just tuning in that haven't seen this yet, do you see, and I'm just gonna tilt your ear just a bit. So do you see it as she's melted, it goes from her natural root color into an 8, right? And then it goes into that 10. So how I did my technique is right around the front is where that butterfly money piece is. All of these are slices. So let me break down her hair really quickly. Where's the brush? Here we go. So if you guys notice, what I was doing on her before, I kind of figured this out by accident because she has so much depth in her hair that Baby Lights wasn't doing it. It wasn't doing it for her. It wasn't giving her that maximum brightness look. So even you could just see, I'm gonna turn you to the side like this. You can even just see from the side of me melting her, how much she has, right? It looks so perfect to be able to just go through the hair and just completely slice it. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments what you guys think about this color. So that toner that I told you guys, that 10 NWB, where it kind of has that metallic-y, and keep in mind I'm in front of a very bright light and it almost looks a little like goldeny right now. It's the perfect, beautiful beige on top of her hair. It is gorgeous. Thank you, my dear. You guys, ask a few more questions. I have a few more minutes while we're going through this technique on here. So especially, we were just mentioning, I had a question about the Defy damage. So what you guys would do is, Defy damage needs to be your first service that you do as soon as you put inside the hair. So the Defy damage Pro Series #1. I just really can't say enough good things about this because it is so important. It is such a good, a little tool in your arsenal of things that you have, because the fact that it does reduce breakage, it is an upgraded service, it does make you more money, it does protect the hair, it just elevates your hairstylist's ability to create these beautiful looks and to create long hair. So the fact of the matter is that when you have lowlights in your hair and you have dimension, you cannot do dimension on broken hair. Does that make sense? Like when you're trying to get that depthy look, if a client has broken hair because it's not being protected, it's not gonna come out the same. I always make sure that whenever a client brings in their photos, if they have really chopped up or damaged hair, we have to help them with the all over health of their hair to make sure that they're able to receive that dimension in here, but the hair has to be longer in order to do it. Unless they wanted a more bob type of look, and therefore you're adding that dimension. But I would never ever take a low light when the hair is to here. I would only make sure that it was within that layered range. All right, you guys like that idea? So what I do is I take the Defy Damage Pro Series #1, I spray it all over the head, make sure that you brush it, shake, 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 and shake some more. Shake the product, okay? You want to really saturate the hair with this. You also want to make sure that you're doing it out of the face. Always out of the face, never inside of the face, okay? So let's say she was just coming in for a haircut or a toner. You would then, after Pro Series #1, you would wash her with Defy Damage shampoo. And then that's when you'll put on the Pro Series #2, okay? You'll do one more shampoo after that, and then regular conditioner, the Defy Damage conditioner, okay? When you are having the hair for a color service, when you are doing a highlighting service, a toning service, no matter what that is, Defy Damage #1, do your entire service. This is like the last step that you would do. Do all of your layer toning, do all of your regular toning, and then you're gonna seal this with the Pro Series #2. So just to reiterate that, you do this after your toner. This is like the final sealant. So you shampoo, tone, wash, Pro Series #2, leave it on for 10 minutes, okay? And then shampoo once more, and then condition, add all of your styling aids, and then send her home with some really good products. So this is awesome. And we have a new product that's coming out very soon. That is I don't even know if we have it out yet, actually. I don't know. If any of my Joico people are in here, maybe you could say it, but I can't say it, but we have a new product that is coming out, so be on the lookout for that. Also, guys, I am going to be posting all of the befores and the afters. This video will be saved. It's going to be on Behind the Chair's Facebook page. It's also going to be on their YouTube page. It will also live on Joico's Instagram page. We also have a TikTok, so it's at Joico on TikTok. If you don't follow me already, I'm Olivia at OMG Artistry. If you still have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me directly on my Instagram. I get back to all of my direct messages. So if you guys love this technique, show some love in the comments. Joico will actually be picking a winner for all of your questions after this is over. All right, guys, it has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Behind the Chair. You know I love you guys so much. And thank you, Joico. You guys are the best. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.